That's what this story makes you want to do. This story is so preposterous that the jury convicted this savage subhuman of time travel or an out-of-body experience, because I can't make up no other explanation on the reason they found this savage subhuman not guilty. I know this is going to sound crazy, but it is. Basically, 1 second, this dude was shanking someone in his right mind, and the next second, he was shanking somebody else, and he was criminally insane. The justice system is so flawed that, and this story highlights it exponentially. Ronald Exantus, I'm going to put his picture right here, and we're going to periodically pop his picture up back and forth. And this is the only time, that was the only time I'm saying his name. For the rest of the video, we're just going to refer to him as the savage subhuman, because that's what he is. He's a savage subhuman. He unalived, and we're going to continuously say this little boy's name, Logan Lipton, right here. And this is the beautiful little boy that you should have etched in your mind. He's the one you should remember, because he's the one who lost his life tragically to the savage subhuman. Now, the savage subhuman should be locked in a prison cell for the rest of his living life. And listen to me, that's me showing mercy. That's the justice system showing mercy to the savage subhuman. He should be incarcerated in a cell for the rest of his living life. You know what? He was so dangerous and so evil in what he did. He immediately doesn't just get a cell, but he gets a cell in Colorado. That's right. He's going to Alcatraz of the Rockies. That's where he deserves to be, in a cell, locked down 24 hours a day. And yeah, we're going to give him a shower, because the savage subhuman can't stink up the whole block, and we don't want our correctional officers having to work in, human stank. So we still got to get to do the shower, because we are concerned about, our correctional officers being able to have, pleasant smells when they're at work and not smelling the savage subhuman who's not allowed to take a shower. So we're going to allow the savage subhuman to take a shower. Here he is, savage subhuman. This dude was a nurse or some form of medical nurse doing dialysis. And one day he just decides to go into this Kentucky home randomly, right? That's what they say, randomly. And he just unalived poor little Logan. And before he unalives poor little Logan, he goes on a rampage, and they say it was random. He just randomly picked the house. He never had to give an explanation. Far as I know, the savage subhuman has never gave an account on why he did what he did. Even during trial, they found him not guilty. Who was on the jury? And how does a jury in their right mind find this dude being mentally ill and criminally insane? Everybody who breaks in a house in the middle of the night is criminally insane. Everybody who decides to pull out a shank and start to shanking innocent people that they don't know is criminally insane. Anybody who does that type of stuff is criminally insane. But yet we have a thing in our judicial system that says if you're criminally insane, you're not competent to stand trial. If you ain't competent to stand trial, you're competent enough because you're crazy that we can't let you back in society. You're going to spend the rest of your life until you breathe your last breath and die dead in that jail cell because you just too crazy, right? If you're criminally insane, you should never be let out. The savage subhuman gets, after he goes to trial, the jury decides that he's not guilty of unaliving little Logan because he was insane. What? Hear me out on this. I want y'all to hear me out. Please hear me out. So they convicted him on another charge of assault. And they said he was mentally ill on the assault charge, but they found him guilty. How can you find him guilty on assault, but not guilty on unaliving little Logan? Now listen, the savage subhuman, before he shanked little Logan, he was fighting and shanking the other family members. He was trying to take out this whole fandom, this whole innocent family in the middle of the night randomly. The dad, was in the middle of, everybody was sleeping. The dad woke up and he jumps right into action. And because the daughter was fighting the savage subhuman back, the dad, Mr. Dean, Lipton, he was able to get into action, but it was too late because the savage subhuman had already unalived little Logan, or the injuries were enough to where he passed away shortly thereafter. The daughter fought this man back. Good for her. And the dad jumped into action, and in all likelihood, the dad saved the rest of his family. So this dude gets found not guilty by reason of insanity by the jury. The jury and the judge decided that this guy was not guilty. Of course, the judge, it was a jury trial, but the judge issues this dude a sentence of, I think it was 20 years. He does less than half of that. He did 7 years in prison. 7 years! 7 years for breaking in somebody's house in the middle of the night randomly, taking a little boy's life. Little boy, here he is again, taking Logan's life, shanking the rest of his family, and he does 7 years in prison. I've done 10 years for possession with intent to distribute in a drive-by shooting where no one was hit. I've done 10 years. I'm not complaining, but think about the weight. I did 10 years. My man took a little boy's life randomly. I was fighting with dudes who we were fighting back and forth with each other. You know what I mean? We were blasting at each other. Boom, boom, shooting at each other. We understood the game. I got 10 years I spent in the prison system. This dude did 7 years for taking an innocent child's life. He should be charged federally. Right now, the federal government should bring charges back up against him and try him in a federal court and sentence him to capital punishment. Now, the thing that's a twist behind all this is Dean Lipton, Logan's father, he said, and he's clear, he's on record saying that if he ever crosses path with the savage subhuman, he is going to unalive him. Do you blame him? That's the question I want to leave lingering for my audience right now. If you are a subscriber to the Pen and the Shank, please, and if you're just viewing for the first time, give me a like and subscribe and a thumbs up to the Pen and the Shank, where we talk about all things crime and prison related. Listen, this is the most unusual and unique prison channel on YouTube, and we're just getting started. But share in the comments below if you think this savage subhuman deserves, one, to be let out of prison because he was considered mentally ill, and two, Mr. Dean Lipton, Logan's father, has stated on record that if he ever crosses paths with him, in other words, if they run into each other at the grocery store, if he's out doing a jog or a workout, or he goes to do a job and he crosses paths with this guy, wherever this guy may be, the savage subhuman, he said he's going to unalive him. What do you think, or what would you say to Dean for saying those comments? I don't blame him. And if I was on a jury, I don't care if it was on video and they had video evidence, and then they brought back up the fact that it was premeditated because Dean Lipton said he was going to unalive the savage subhuman. I would be on the jury. You get all evidence, proof. Yep, caught red-handed. You know what I mean? I'm still finding the dude not guilty. I think most people would, unless you're just a savage, and you know who I'm talking about. We got a savage society of judges who show more mercy and leniency to criminals, like the savage subhuman. Boom, boom! That's what the savage subhuman deserves. We got to quit. We got to start. Man, what about Logan? His life mattered. But somehow, the savage subhuman's life matters more than Logan's life. We got stuff all messed up. And you know what? I'm a convict, and I'm giving you a convict's reaction. And any convict who has a heart and who is a decent person is going to agree with me. Only convicts who would agree that the savage subhuman should be released is chumps and punks. Because that's what the savage subhuman is, man. Man, my heart breaks, man. When I see these stories, you don't see this, with me talking right here. But, this is a reaction to me reading this stuff. But my heart breaks, man. I tell my wife when I read these stories and we talk about it and we discuss it, our heart breaks for this stuff, man. This family, this father, mother, his siblings, the world was robbed of a future with Logan in it. And instead, we still get to have the savage subhuman released. And I believe all people can change. Even the savage subhuman can change. It's possible. But that doesn't mean he gets released. Actually, I think he should have got capital punishment. That's what I think he deserved for his actions. In this nation, we're very merciful, but we're losing our moral compass. We're losing our direction. We need to course correct before it's too late. Our judicial system is broken. We're showing more mercy to savages and less mercy to the vulnerable and the innocent victims of the savages. Think about that for a second. That's insane. It's really, really crazy. And we overcompensate and over course correct because in this perfect nation, or when I mean by perfect, I mean the best nation, the best judicial system that ever existed. We do have a lot of people incarcerated, and we need to rethink that. There are people who don't need to be sitting in prison. The ones who don't need to be sitting in prison are sitting in prison. There are people in prison who I think should get released right now. But not people who done this, not this savage subhuman. You can't do this and be released. You can't do this and be out of society. We got to refix things. We got to readjust. And you know what? You should pay attention as an American citizen on who our Senate and congressmen, our senators and congressmen are putting in judicial seats throughout our land. Because that's the problem we got today. It's across the board. It's across the board. Look at the savage who took that Ukrainian girl's life in North Carolina. That savage subhuman had more mugshots, you know what I mean, than the entire Gambino crime family. And they released him from prison, and he took that Ukrainian girl's life on the subway. One of them judges, judicial judges who have more sympathy towards savages than they do to the victims. We got to fix this. And that's my thought on this story. And let me tell you something. If you are a man of faith or a woman of faith, take a moment to pray for the Logan family, that God may protect them and give them peace and strength to endure the injustices that was issued out to them. And you know what? Give me a like and subscribe to the Pen and the Shank. Let's get it.